All right, we're back, part 2 with the Mike Laird interview. We mentioned earlier you're one of the first to move to Greenville, and you still call Greenville home. And that's kind of a cool thing. A lot of us have moved on or different cities, and I miss it. It was an awesome place to live, but you stayed there, and you still call it home, and now you've made it the base for Laird Frame. What kept you in Greenville?
Low cost of living. It's a good central point in North Carolina. I mean, my wife loves the ocean. We're only an hour and a half away. An hour and a half from Raleigh, 2 hours from Wilmington, 2 hours from Virginia Beach, which is my hometown. So, and I like kind of a smaller town feel. I mean, I grew up in Virginia Beach, pretty big city. 45 minutes to go ride anywhere in any direction. And JC Skate Park is literally a 30-second bike ride from my house. Nyquist Unit is a 10-minute car ride, and it's just nice to have everything localized, and we got everything we need as far as amenities and stuff. So
when your professional career started winding down, as far as stepping away from competition, did you look at the grand scheme of life and say, okay, well, I'm not going to be doing this for a living anymore. I'm either going to have to get a job or figure something out. At any point in time, did you say, well, maybe I'll need to move from Greenville to make better money and provide for my family? Or was it always, I'm going to stay in Greenville, I'm going to do something here?
Steve, man, I don't know what I'm doing day to day. Seriously, dude, I don't plan these things out. I just go with the flow, you know what I mean? I started off welding. I welded for 5 years before I became a professional BMXer, so I had that background of fabrication. And the reason why I got into welding is because of BMX. I thought I was going to make frames.
Wait, didn't you two work together?
Yeah. Actually, I worked with Mike at a metal fabrication shop. He ran the welding department, and I ran a laser cutter and press brake. And he actually taught me how to weld one day. Awesome story about that. He taught me how to weld, spent a whole day just showing me the basics. And to this day, I don't know how to weld. I was shown the basics of it. And at the end of the day, one of the other employees who worked there was just pissed because he didn't get to learn how to weld with Mike. And he thought that he was being left out of the whole equation. So the next day, they said, all right, you can work with Mike and you get to weld. So Mike's welding partner in the welding department was off that day. So this kid borrows the helmet from her, welds the entire day, TIG welds the entire day long, and then at 3 in the morning wakes up in his bed screaming out loud because he had baked his contact lenses onto his eyeballs.
Yeah.
It was an auto-darkening helmet. So anybody in the welding industry knows that it's an electric switch you turn on. So basically, he was looking through a pair of sunglasses all day instead of an actual welding goggles and welded an entire day, and they had to surgically peel the contact lenses from his eyeballs. So he was out of work for a few days, and this was an awesome place we worked because basically people kind of feared me and Laird because they were afraid when they walked in that they were just going to get shredded on by us, and we weren't that mean. This was just minuscule compared to what was said on the decks of the ramp. So this guy's out of work for 3 or 4 days because he had to have his eyeballs peeled apart. And the first thing he does, he walks into the break room the morning he comes back to work, and Laird and I are sitting in there, and the guy walks in, and I just look up, and I said, blinded by the light. And the guy got pissed. He's like, fuck you, man, you know how bad that hurt. And Laird just let him go, you're a fucking idiot.
It's bad. There's nothing like that.
It was an interesting place to work. But I learned a lot from Mike just in a day. But working around him, just his attention to detail, and they would give him a project and say, okay, well, we're going to make this. And Mike would be like, okay, well, this is how we're going to make it. And he would make up the jigs and figure out the best process to go through to make that part the strongest, the most durable, to look the best, and to be done in a short amount of time. And that was what was awesome. I learned that from Mike of how you can actually take an idea and turn it into something like that. Oh, we're joined by Don Wygant now. Scooter Don, as the world knows him, so he can come in and sit down. He's also a rider of the only 2 Laird scooter frames, actually.
Steal that I didn't get an introduction when I walked in.
Oh, well, I'm sorry. We got Ronell here, too. My Polish cohort there. So that's a good point there. How about all the trips to New York and back and forth with those guys? I mean, those were some of the best contests to go to is the New York stuff.
The New York City ones were the craziest.
Oh, by far. Not only just for the riding that happened at the contest, it was all the stuff that happened after.
I think for me, it was the biggest culture shock as far as how people viewed and did things differently, and how much crazier those people were in total disrespect for other mankind.
Are you referring to the your first time on the New York street rod?
Yeah. From the puddles, from riding on people's cars,
The garbage bags.
the garbage bags,
Oh man,
the fruit stands, the throwing bottles at people.
The high pursuit chase from
And,
the cops.
and that's not
Yeah.
including all the traffic and just basically the first time I rode with Ron in New York City, it was in summer of '93, and I had a death grip on the handlebars the entire time. I thought I was going to die just riding through traffic. That didn't include all the mayhem stuff. It was just riding through the city the first time.
I thought people only rode through cabs in traffic like that in the movies. It was all staged. And it turns out, no, actually, they do that.
Well, and the funny thing is, like, growing up that way, I took it for granted. And so I got all you guys coming up that are killer riders. So I'm equating you kick ass on a bike, this is no big deal. And like Steve said, like back in '93, I mean, we're probably all giggling like it's just another day on the streets. And Steve in '93 and you guys in the mid-'90s for the B3s and stuff are just in this shitstorm, like, what happens next? And we're just like, hey, go this way.
This is a regular Tuesday afternoon.
It's just another day. Yeah.
You guys, I don't know who was in charge of that mad train, but
Oh, this
somebody
dumbass
rode-
over here was. There's no doubt about it.
Somebody rides off into, was it Central Park or something, blazing down through the dark, cobblestone, yeah, just black, and all I can see is 2 or 3 bikes ahead of me, and everybody just balls out,
This
cranking
is-
fast as you can go.
This is after the B3 contest
Yeah.
or whatever it was. Or
We're screaming
Yeah, I
through the
think
dark.
B3, yeah.
I'm afraid I'm just going to hit something in the dark, you know, like somebody's going to hit something, and then way in front of me, I see people start to disappear. They just go. It's like they're dropping off a cliff, and it is because there's a stair set. And I have no idea how big it is.
Yeah.
It's just in the dark. You just ride off in the dark and drop the back wheel down and hope you don't end up in somebody else's pegs.
At that
Yeah, I
contest,
remember that. That was it's down by the pond, and it's just these huge flight of stairs. We blindly, like
Sure, you knew
said,
they were
like
coming.
in front of you. You just see people disappearing, and I know it's coming, but I can't imagine like not knowing what's going. You're like, okay,
Now,
I am blindly
sweet,
going to
it's
follow all these
lemmings
people
on
that keep
bicycles.
disappearing, and then there's like 40 steps on a BMX bike in the dark, and people just screaming. Like,
now what happened? You stayed at his house at the Chelsea Piers contest that time, and you showed up like literally as qualifying was going on. Do you remember that? You like charged it. Fuck, I'm fucking late. You remember that?
Yeah, we were running late getting there.
Was that his fault?
Probably.
not the early bird.
Because I know we stayed in Jersey with Gary and those guys, and we drove up from Jersey and got there, and I'm like, where the fuck's Mike? Because we didn't have cell phones, because I couldn't call you up and go, hey, where you at? You know?
Back then.
So we're
Beepers.
fucking.
Yeah,
Cause,
yeah.
fuck, I'm stressing. I'm like, fuck, where's Mike at? Where's Mike at? You know. Then I stopped, thought about it. I was like, well, shit, if Mike doesn't show up, that's a better chance of me qualifying.
You qualified first that one, didn't you?
Second, Kennan qualified first because he was doing the 360 float.
Now, is this Chelsea Piers?
Yeah, which one
or
was that?
The
Riverside.
97, Chelsea Piers.
Okay.
97, okay.
Yeah, Riverside was the one that Dave rode in the skate helmet and just started doing like
That's
gaps
when
to
you
Smith
qualified
grind.
first.
I
Yeah,
still
yeah, that
want
one I
my
did.
third place belt. I got a belt. right here. I still never
97,
got it.
Steve Nowak qualified first in Expert Park, and I qualified second. This is the first time that's ever happened. And
Last time.
Where's that last?
It's definitely an anomaly.
Yeah, there was probably a judging error there somewhere.
well, 97 is the year that, for me, competitively, I was able to flip that switch where I went from not making finals at any BS event or bicycle stunts events,
Yeah.
and then all of a sudden I was able to make finals, and I wasn't only making finals, winning the amateur series, and then that one was when Nowak qualified in front of me, And I was like, fuck that. No way in hell.
I was a motivator for him stepping his game up, see?
There's no
gotta
way in hell
practice a
no
lot
act's going to
more.
qualify in front of me, man.
Well, the same goes with those BS
I
series.
forgot about that.
I totally forgot I qualified for it. I didn't even think
Yeah, you
about that.
qualified. I still remember
I had
it.
the one in Orlando.
That was probably the most pissed you ever were at qualifying second.
So, along with that same rule, we go to this. No, I didn't win, but so we go to Seal Beach for BS contest. Mike and I were still. That year we were competing for like the top spots in the amateur when they still did the amateur
Invert.
and park.
Yeah.
So we buy plane tickets and we're flying out with Keith King because Keith was at the time the Eastern team manager. So Laird and I are going out representing Eastern, and the night before we're ready to fly out, we get a phone call from Lee Ramsdale, and he's like, "Dude, they've changed the whole schedule around. Vert is tomorrow at 11 a.m. and our flight lands at LAX like an hour from the contest at 10:45." And I'm like, "Lee, man, you gotta put in a word, help us out here or something." He's like, "I'll talk to him, let him know." So we literally land, get our bags, throw them in the car, drive like a bat out of hell from LAX out to the contest. We get there, Laird and I run up to the thing. We got our bikes still in the bags. And the guys have already all taken their first runs on the vert ramp and are standing there waiting. They're looking down at us, waiting for us to throw our bikes together.
You're right on the cold.
And we literally threw our bikes together on a flat bottom, pull our helmets on, run up to the deck, drop in, first place and second place. Laird got first, I got second. And there was like 6 or 7 guys in the class. And Losi comes up to me. Losi comes up to me, he goes, "Dude, there was 3 guys here, guaranteed to go home with a fucking trophy today, and you and Laird just show up cold turkey and beat everybody. How the fuck do you guys do that?" I'm
Party records.
We ride, man. I mean, it's a fucking rant. We just showed up for the session. So.
Was that the same year there was a contest in Florida? The one at Disney?
Disney was
that was the
same
first
year.
one.
The first one of the year, yeah.
Because I think that's the same year Dave and I were working on getting the park set up, and we were going to do it in Raleigh, and there was a guy here who was already planning to open up a park, and he heard about us, and then asked if we wanted to meet and discuss doing this together, put all of our money in together. I got Dave out of the parking lot where he was going to meet us at a restaurant, called the guy, and he's not showing up, and he says, "Oh, there was a change of plans. They're getting on a plane, and they're going to Florida." He stood us up. Like he's not interested, doesn't need us anymore, and his ramp builder, he has a carpenter, they're going to check out some other ramps and make some measurements so they know they get the most up-to-date pro style. They were flying to Florida. He says they got this awesome ramp set up for a contest at Disney on the property. It's beautiful. We're going to go measure all that stuff and make sure we get it just right and bring it back.
That was one of the worst courses ever.
We just left that site 3 weeks ago.
Yeah, it was bad.
They packed the ramps in a truck, and this dumbass is getting on a plane to fly to Florida and check out ramps that haven't been there for 3 weeks. He saw it on TV schedule, and he thinks it's there.
That best part about that contest was the Disney bucks. They gave us Mickey money. So they give you this thing, it's $50 Mickey money because they didn't want the athletes to have to spend their cash at Disney World to buy food and everything. Well, if you took the Mickey bucks, $50, and you bought a candy bar for $2, you got $48 American cash change. So I did a Mancuso at this contest. I went up in different shirts, and Flatland was the first day of the event, and I knew what Flatlanders were there the first day and then left. So I'd go up and check myself in as Brian Huffman and Keith King, anybody who wasn't there anymore, and they'd give me my $50 Disney bucks. I paid for my whole trip just off of cash.
That is a straight Mancuso.
That's a straight Mike Mancuso move right there.
Mancuso learned all of his schemes from you.
No.
I'm not sure.
I think he learned them from his dad, but that's all.
Mancuso or no one?
Yeah, Mancuso perfected the scheme. That was one of the only schemes I pulled off like that.
There's a
This was
showdown to be seen.
Shit, Mancuso's got that beat. He thinks of stuff I'm like, professional criminals couldn't think of this, and you pulled this shit off. So
We could have a whole podcast on Mancuso stories.
Oh, just easily.
They just take the two of you, drop you off in like Alaska with no money, and see who schemes their way back to the.
That sounds like a good reality show.
Mancuso would be lost in the first 2 minutes. Okay?
You weigh them when you drop them off, and the one that gains the most weight before they get back wins.
No, I've always said, as long as Mancuso's been doing his stuff, he's got to be borderline genius, and we just need to accept the fact that he's far superior in a lot of ways to us because he comes up with some crazy shit.
All right, we're moving on.